Today on the table I have the 15-inch M-LOK 308 LP aluminum rail. Oh, where to start? I guess we'll start with the positive stuff, because it's always good to start on a positive note. This rail is built very quality, and it's insanely light. For example, this is the fulcrum point of my rifle, and I'm running a bull barrel with a full-length rail. That's insane. That means everything on this half of the rifle is lighter than everything on this half of the rifle. It comes with all the hardware you're going to need. It even comes with the tool, which is insanely important because when you're talking about AR-10s, everything's proprietary. Everything on an AR-10 is proprietary. Now, with that being said, I like this rail a lot. I would trade it in a heartbeat for an Alpha rail. I just love the way those things are. They really appeal to me. Basically, instead of having this chunky squared thing, it's more round. Now, this particular rail doesn't really work on a bull barrel. I'm going to have to take this off and modify the screws and come back a little bit because they're actually touching the barrel right now. So, there's a gap between the rail and the receiver. Why is that there? This comes into the problem with this rail. I should say with the company itself. Troy Industry has some of the worst customer service I have ever run into. So, 2 weeks ago before I was going to order this rail, I tried calling them several times, and I could not get through. As a matter of fact, they have their voice message set up. I don't know how old you are, but if you were old enough to have a cell phone in the late 90s or early 2000s, it was a thing to try to trick people into talking to your voice message thinking they were talking to you. So what you do is you'd sound like you were answering the phone, and then you'd let it click over to voice message. Well, this hasn't been a thing in so long, I just thought it was a done thing, because no one does that anymore. Plus, voice messages usually announce themselves right at the beginning. Hey, this is a voice message. And then you leave your little disclaimer, and then someone leaves a message. They have their message set up like in the late 90s, early 2000s. It goes something like, well, you know what? Here, I'll just play it for you because I had recorded it. I was so angry. See, and that's what Troy Industries customer service is like. They treat you like the butt end of a joke. They have their voice message set up like it's a 90s voicemail to try to trick you into talking when you're thinking you're talking to a person. And that's what you should generally expect when you're a Troy Industry customer. You are the butt end of a joke. Sounds ridiculous, but it's true. They have the worst customer service ever. Now, I actually got through this morning. I called yesterday, like once every hour. Could not get through. And that voice message really got me because it sounded like a Blue Parrot headset when I was originally calling 2 weeks ago. Because that's what the Blue Parrot sounds like when you click over the headset, and I thought the person was going to hands-free, so I called like 4 times before I realized there wasn't a problem with his headset, and it was a voicemail I was talking to. Extremely heated over that. The original reason why I had called was the description on this particular rail was written incorrectly. And I figured it was written incorrectly, but I wanted to confirm that. So if you are unfamiliar with AR-10s, there is actually only one AR-10. That would be the Armorlite AR-10. Now there's actually only one AR-15, the Armorlite AR-15. But because AR-15s are so standardized, the term is just used universally. Everyone calls them AR-15s because why not? It doesn't matter. I could jump on the phone and be like, hey, I want a barrel for an AR-15. I want a barrel nut for an AR-15. I could take a whole bunch of random AR-15 parts, put them in a box, shake them around, and I could assemble AR-15s without paying any attention to the manufacturer or anything like that. AR-10s are not that way. They're not standardized. So you have to be very careful with what you call an AR-10. Like even in this video, I'm using the word interchangeably across all manufacturers, just so you know what I'm talking about, so it's easy to understand. But when it comes to parts ordering, it's very important. If it says AR-10, it must be an Armorlite part. Because all the AR-10s, there are some interchangeability. I actually did a video on that. I'll have a card at the end of this video. You can click on and watch it if you'd like to. But there are some interchangeability, but a lot of the parts are unique to each individual manufacturer. On the description, it said, well, here's the description right there. It says AR-10, which means Armorlite part. And then it also goes in about DPMS 308. I'm like, that's kind of suspect, because usually they have them labeled differently, because especially when it comes to handguard, there are some differences between the DPMS and Armorlite. So I called Troy like 100 billion times, never got through. So I'm like, I'll just roll the dice. Let's see what happens. Order the part, and sure as shit, this is a DPMS 308. That's why there's a gap right here, because I don't actually have the nut on there that's supposed to be on there. I just ripped apart a Delta ring, and then I took a file and I cut the grooves in it so the handguard can slide over it, so I can mock this thing up because I want to test run it, make sure everything's going to work before I start permanently putting things together, because when I know everything works, the parts will go together in a way to where they're not meant to be taken back apart. We'll be using things like Loctite, staking, etc. So that's just on there to mock it up. So when you got the right one, there won't be a gap. Now, the rail height between the DPMS and the Armorlite is different. As you notice, it steps down. I don't really care because I have no intentions on running night vision. And should I decide to run night vision, I'll just get a mount to equate for that. Because the Armorlite mount, it's more beefier over the DPMS mount. So if you have a scope mount, it can be a little bit fatter on the bottom, giving you more strength. Plus, it makes the whole receiver more beefier. The Armorlite's just a better package. So anyway, I finally got a hold of someone this morning, and it really wouldn't have mattered if I would have got a hold of them or not, because I had to explain to them why this rail didn't work. Because the person in technical support, which you think they'd have somebody that really knows the company in and out in technical support, but I don't know if they happened to walk by the phone and they heard it ring, so they just answered it. Anywho, they answered it, and I had to explain to them why this won't work on Armorlite, because I believe DPMS uses a 16 thread count and Armorlite is 18. Everything else is the same. Armorlite just has more threads, so it's a finer thread. But they did assure me that yes, the Armorlite bolt I had ordered, or nut I had ordered, will go on my Armorlite, and it is the same as this, so I know that I can make this handguard work. Now, the handguard doesn't work on bull barrels. Yes, I have it on a bull barrel right now, but the screws are actually touching the barrel. So when I permanently mount it, I'm going to have to shave those screws down so it can still clamp and still work on a bull barrel. So that kind of sucks, but that's not really that big of a deal to me. So, what am I digging at here? With a Troy handguard, I believe they're one of the best ones put together. Yes, you got the Midwest Industries, but they're a lot heavier. This thing is stupid light. It's less than a pound, even with all the hardware on it. Less than a pound. That's crazy, and it's full length. So for me, I would buy Troy Industry parts. However, I would never, ever buy one of their firearms. That kind of customer service on a $1,000 firearm? Yeah, I don't think so. You are, as a Troy Industry customer, the butt end of a joke. You are lucky to have had their parts. So why should they go out of their way to help you? It's just terrible customer service. The worst. First. Yeah, I can't think of any other company. It is first to none. It is the worst, hands down, customer service I've dealt with. And this isn't the first time I've dealt with them and got this kind of reaction. This isn't just some fluke. Oh, the coronavirus made everything crazy, so the customer service is a little bit bad, but just work with us. I mean, go back to my XM117 videos. I should have nasty emails explaining that whoever's in charge of customer service needs to be fired. Or if you can't fire them, they're like the CEO's kid or something, you need to put him on a mop or possibly a broom because he has no business whatsoever making customer service decisions. Like, I've had several terrible run-ins with their customer service, so this isn't something unique. Yes, there is probably going to be some people out there that had good experiences, but you're the exception, you're not the rule. The rule is expect shit Troy customer service. You may run into an exception where you get good service, but that's the exception. That's not the rule. So, would I buy this? Super light. Looks good. Yes, it's not the Alpha Rail, but it does still feel good under my hands. I still do like the way it looks. The squareness kind of matches the squareness of the front of the receiver, so that works. That looks okay. It's crazy light. It's built very well. Cons. Their customer service, I just can't express to you how much I literally get irritated with crappy customer service. There's no excuse. Sorry, I'm not going to try to go on a rant here. So would I buy it? You be the judge. Because if I were to answer that question, this video will get demonetized. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the channel, I got my Patreon. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on that link and buying the shit you were going to buy off Amazon anyway, I get a little kickback for it because you went there off my channel. I also have my merch shelf going. Just scroll down below the video. You can purchase sweaters, t-shirts, stuff like that, and they actually give me a pretty nice kickback for that stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.